Who are some of your winners for the combine at the QB position this past weekend?
I think without a doubt, everyone's going to say Jaxson Dart, and I don't disagree with that at all. He hit every single throw. I was watching the highlights, and he was just money on the button, every single one of them. He looks the part. He looks good. I think he's far and away QB number 3 in this draft this year. He's making a push even for QB2, depending on who you speak to, because I think Shedeur Sanders is actually dropping. I don't want to jump into the losers for QBs right away, but I've been reading and hearing a lot of rumors that he's not even a first round pick anymore. And I was reading
NBA Centel?
No, like legit. Like I was looking at Lance Zierlein mock draft right now. Lance Zierlein for NFL.
He's legit.
And he's legit. Like he called Jaden Daniels going number 2 last year over Drake May, and he got a lot of heat for it, and it turned out exactly like that. He has Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way at the end of the first round, and the Browns are trading back into the first round to draft him.
Okay.
Like he was expected to go like number 1, number 2 overall, right? Like very much is between him and Cam Ward. And now he's not even being selected. Even PFF, they had a mock draft release right after the combine. He wasn't even in the first round. And
so I think there's a lot on Sanders. I have a more differing opinion because I feel like I watched him a lot, and I appreciate the fact that he is, he's uplifted 2 programs. He's done it with a lot of bad offensive line play, I would say. But just to go back to Jaxson Dart, I fully agree with kind of your assessment on that. I watched it live too and felt that he was hitting every throw. I think for sure fully entrenched as QB3. There's some comparison to and I think what's helpful for a lot of folks who maybe are not always as locked into the draft is kind of having some comparisons to current players in the league or players who just got drafted. Saw actually a decent amount of comparison to Bo Nix. Even Daniel Jeremiah compared him to Jalen Hurts from a build standpoint. And the fact that they had to go through multiple schools, they had to kind of overcome adversity, kind of similar type of offenses as well. But I think Dart is fully entrenched in QB3. Do you think he's done enough to get to QB2? I guess from your assessment of how you feel about Shedeur, that would be a yes.
I think so. I think so just because there are a lot of QB needy teams in the first round. To be honest with you, I know Mac's not here to talk about this, but I would not be surprised if the Steelers, I think they're picking 20th, they take Jaxson Dart in that spot. Like I know they have a lot of other needs elsewhere, but obviously, best kept secret is that they also need a quarterback. They're deciding between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson every other day. And they've always been looking for that quarterback to sort of fill in Big Ben's shoes. And Jaxson Dart, I feel like can do it. And if they really want their guy, they could probably get him a little bit higher up. I think he sneaks into the first round, but I think it's more at the end of the first round. I don't think it's going to be like if the Giants, for example, take him at 3. There's going to be riots.
Yeah, that's not happening. What concerns me a bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead of Sanders just for all. Even so many reports are coming out that Sanders did really not interview well. Yeah, he was only there to interview. He was only there to speak to coaching staff and speak to owners and GMs and all that stuff. And a lot of them came out and said that he didn't care for the organization. He didn't care too much about what they thought of him and all that stuff. And I don't know. It's very lukewarm right now for Shedeur Sanders, whereas before it was maybe piping hot.
So I think for Sanders, since we're on that topic now, again for me, it's he is a black QB that plays like a white QB. Like we have to but I think there's sometimes a misconception of hey, this guy is just gonna run around, this guy's gonna scramble. This guy, he's not an athlete at all. I think I wouldn't be surprised if at his pro day he runs 4.6, 4.7. He reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow. And there's been a lot of Joe Burrow coming out of LSU. And if you look at his production year over year, 4-year starter, Jackson State 2 years, Colorado 2 years, he's improved every single year. I don't think there's been a year where he doesn't throw for at least 3,800 yards, and he's been a 35 touchdown player every single year he has been in college. 50 starts. Last 2 years has played for a horrible O-line. Came to a Colorado team that won 1 game previously, and then they won 4 games the first year Dion and him were there. Then they won 9 games the year after. Again, bad O-line, tough, better conference than what he was previously. Uplifts a program. So these things matter, and I'm just surprised how much flack he's taking, considering he did all this for the program, and he's a really accurate player. He's really accurate, and he doesn't have a like. Yes, Travis Hunter has been amazing. I wouldn't say he's withered in all Americans like the way Will Howard is, or some other programs have. So I'm really surprised.
True.
I'm really surprised, and even from like what Ian Rappaport was saying during the combine, it sounded like a lot of like from his perspective, teams liked his confidence. Teams were saying that he's saying the right things, he's doing the right things to be at the combine. He's positive.
Yeah.
He's there for his teammates. So you said it best, Fab. It's mixed reports where some people just like the people who don't like Sanders are like gonna trash him, and then like there's another camp that's either they like Sanders or they're just flat out they know Deion Sanders, and Deion I feel is the type of guy if you start talking smack about his son, he's gonna put you out there. He's gonna put you on blast. So that's how I feel about Sanders. I feel like I watched enough of him to really appreciate his game. But not throwing. I would have preferred that he threw for sure.
Yeah, me too. But then again, you saw what it did to Will Howard and Jalen Milroe, right? Like it really tanked their stock a little bit.
What did you think of Howard?
I mean, he was missing so much. Like every single throw that Jaxson Dart was hitting, Will Howard was missing, and it wasn't. And he was missing by a lot. He was overthrowing a lot of guys, and he just looked like. And I get it. Even Shedeur Sanders, we're talking a lot about him right now. He came to Will Howard's defense on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Like, give this guy a chance. He's throwing to wide receivers he's never thrown before. But you see other quarterbacks do it, and they do it well. Like I get that. You want to create that chemistry with your wide receivers, and I get that you want to be, to be able to know where they move without even knowing where they move and all that stuff. I understand that, but these guys are they were doing out routes and go routes. Like it's just stuff that you need to hit them in stride on that you should be at the very least. And I don't know, I found that to be a little bit disappointing, but then again, I'm sure he's going to show up at his pro day too, and he's going to do well. He's most likely going to get drafted, and I wouldn't be surprised if his stock tanks a little bit, and a guy and some team picks him, and they hit the lottery, so to speak. They have a quarterback who can sit in the wings for a while and still produce and play well. I'm hearing a lot of comps of Jalen Milroe to Jalen Hurts, and how he's going to be going like later on in the second round. You're going to get a really good talent out of him, despite the fact that he didn't really perform that well in the combine. It's the combine is it's good and it's bad, right? I mean, it doesn't give you the entire picture. And I go back to the Giants last year during Hard Knocks, right? I feel like the interviews are way more important than the physical showings. And obviously you're not going to see that on TV because those are very private moments. I feel like those speak a lot louder than how they perform throwing to guys they've never seen before, or how they perform, running 40 yards that they're never going to have to do in their NFL career, right?
The whiteboard, like. Yeah. The coach that tells you, hey, like this, what do you like? What do you do 100%. When you see cover 2? What do you do when you see cover 3? What do you do in this play situation? I think the last few things I'll say is Milroe was on the deep throws looked great, no surprise. That's where he excels. The shorter stuff is where he obviously struggled, and I would have liked to have seen more timing. Felt like he was off on the shorter patterns. Again, the combine, it's one metric, it's one viewpoint, one data point to look along with their entire year's tape. It doesn't at all mean that these guys are going to be busts, but it's still an evaluation. No. It's still important. That's why they do it, right?
It's a measuring stick, and
it's a measuring
like
stick.
Dart,
exactly.
Guys like Jaxson Dart just really cropped up their stock right now. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll go quickly for the rest of the combine stuff. I thought Kyle McCord looked good. Kyle McCord we saw at when we went to Boston College versus Syracuse. He was super accurate. Nice. Yeah, very accurate. Doesn't have the big arm. Think of it more like a Chad Pennington style, where he's going to hit all the throws, but it's going to get there. It won't get there super fast with the big arm talent. Dillon Gabriel was another loser. I felt it was really rough. And I was surprised. Very surprised on that, but I still really like his talent. I think we'll hear more about Tyler Shuck, the big arm QB from Louisville, who I think we're starting to hear about him just now, but he looked strong as well from kind of an arm talent perspective on that front. And we talked about Shedeur, and in Cam Ward we didn't talk about much as well, but I came away pretty impressed from the interviews I heard about Cam Ward, from the kind of Radio Row aspect of the combine. He sounds really mature. He sounds like he thinks of the QB position in a cerebral way. I don't know if you felt the same, Fab, but I really like what I heard from Cam Ward.
I think the Giants are gunning for. I think the Giants are gunning for first overall for a reason, and it's not to pick Shedeur. I think they're going all in for Cam Ward. And I know. I think we're going to get more into this, like the more we talk about the combine and the draft process in later episodes. But like the ranking of Cam Ward vis-a-vis the QBs of last year. I think he was around the JJ McCarthy spot people are putting him at.
I think
I mean, I
I
would
think he
even
deserves a
put
bit
it.
more respect than that, honestly.
I agree. I agree. I don't think that. I don't. I mean,
Because
you're
the
talking
same
about
thing you
Shedeur
say
Sanders
about the same things we could say about Shedeur in terms of uplifting multiple correct
for
programs.
sure.
Ward did for Washington State. He did for
Yes.
Miami. And like he reminds me a lot of like a Phillip Rivers a little bit with like the way he throws the sidearm with like multiple
Yeah.
angles, multiple platforms of the throwing the football. So I think from a QB perspective, that's kind of like the landscape. And then very quickly, running backs from the combine, there was a lot of talk about Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, 4.46 40 38-inch vert. He was the second. A lot of people are considering the second running back in the class. Some are even saying he might jump up to the first. Helps that North Carolina has had a lot of good success at the running back position recently, obviously with Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. So I think we'll have to pay attention on that. And the OSU running backs did very well at the combine, both 4.48s. Both have good size. Both did near 11-inch broad jump. And at the wide receiver position, Matthew Golden, 4.30 40 time, 5'11", 190. Texas again, man. Texas is killing it from the wide receiver perspective. Similarly to what people are saying about Hampton usurping Genty for the first running back, there was a lot of talk about Golden going above Teteroa McMillan.
Cam Scatterbo. He didn't participate. He was injured. I think they heard his talk a little bit. I'm kind of upset about that.
Yeah,
that's too bad. Hopefully
that doesn't help.
Yeah, but he was one of the guys I was looking to follow. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Hopefully, he gets healthy.
Yeah, so ton of stuff about the combine. Obviously, we're going to get into draft coverage more and more as free agency comes and goes.